Coming up,
I don't think you should major in advertising in college.
In my case, I got into it because I wasn't any good at anything else.
You're way too modest.
you're listening to The Pod Couple, where John Immesoti and Barbara Lippert debate all things media culture.
Welcome. We're the Pod Couple, and we're back. I'm Barbara Lippert, and I'm here with my pod partner, John Immesoti.
Hi, Barbara.
Let's get right into it today, John.
All right.
If you'd like.
What do you want
it's
to talk
back
about?
to school time for the kiddies
Mhm.
all over the country. And so we thought about school and ad school. Now there are so many ad schools, and there's so many kids coming out of ad schools with, really professional books and great entrees to great agencies. Yay or nay? Do we think it's a good idea to attend ad school or not?
Well, I suppose in my case, I can see the pluses and minuses of both, to put it that way. There are people that come out of them, and like you said, you do have a really well-prepared portfolio. You do learn a lot about professionalism, and I think that's great. But then there's other people who kind of fall into this business who are also great. There's a school of hard knocks. So there's pluses and minuses on both sides.
I agree that there are pluses and minuses. I mean, I think on the plus side, you said there are people who have been through the school of hard knocks, but not many of them lately. Unless you're like the electricians union where you come in through your parents, you're not really raised to look at advertising as a prospect. And now that there are so many of these schools and so many professional portfolios at a prestigious level, it's much harder to get an entry-level job. So if you're not within that, you have to go to one of these schools to get placed, pretty much.
I mean, sometimes it just depends. I mean, there are a lot of places that offer internships now. And a lot of times if an intern is really promising, you can get a job.
But in order to get the internship, you have to know you want to go to a school with marketing or advertising and get on a professor's radar. So for people who are completely outside the system, it's one way. On the other hand, it's bringing a lot of sameness to the work. You learn a certain way of doing things, but it really is the kind of like we were talking in another podcast, the sort of case study thing that will win awards. That's the sort of training you're getting.
Yeah, I mean, there's different things. I mean, I think the business has changed so much, and it's kind of like anything. It's like Woody Allen said, those who can teach, those who can't teach Jim. But that's a little bit true sometimes in advertising. Sometimes some of the people that you like in my day, even when you learned about marketing or advertising, they'd have been people who left the business, and you were learning about the business that maybe they were in 15, 20 years ago.
Right.
We're probably still seeing some of that. But while that can be good, that would mean that a lot of the teachers out there are really much from the big idea school. To really, if you're a kid now, though, and you're going to work in modern advertising, there's so many venues that you can go in from either technology, data, research, small different things. The business has changed, and you're not necessarily always learning what the business is.
Well, from that end, I think it is important to go because you do get hands-on experience with all the technology. But I think first of all, it's very expensive. It's like $20,000 a year, and you have to go for 2 years. For the sort of graduate version or even the undergraduate version, I guess, like Creative Circus and those kinds of places. The other thing is that it's the loss of opportunity for 2 years of working, when you're already could be in the job market. And also, I think on the con side, I'm all for, I don't think you should major in advertising in college. I think it's a time to learn real stuff, history and literature and maybe science and math and geology and, go take courses on stuff you would never even consider learning about. And it's all there for the taking. And that's what's wonderful about liberal arts education. Whereas if you're majoring in advertising, that's all you know. And then what if you hate it when you get out and you spent your whole time in college learning it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know who goes to school to be in advertising now. And I don't even know, like when I started, I don't know that a lot of us really started to do that. We kind of started, I would say in my case, that it was like I got into it because I wasn't any good at anything else.
Yeah.
And it was like I could write a little bit. There was things that interested me. I liked TV. And
you're way too modest.
Well, no, I will actually say honestly, my whole knowledge on getting in the business was like, okay, I think I want to be a writer. What do writers make in this world?
Right.
At that time, I saw a column that said magazine writers, $20,000 a year.
Right. Journalists
newspaper
are really
writers,
underpaid.
15, TV, 30, advertising, 125. And I was like, I am really liking the idea of this advertising thing.
Right.
Because I was a child of the 80s, a yuppie.
Yeah, and it's perfect for people with ADD.
It's perfect, right? 30 seconds. You don't have to go to any bad countries where things are uncomfortable and sweaty with bugs.
Right.
You stay in the United States. It's a good job that way. So.
Yes. And you can work on a lot of different things and learn a lot on the job.
True.
So I think we both see a lot of pros and cons. I think I'd come down on the side of if it's at all possible to do it through internships or through at one course at night, I would recommend that first before you spend the money. But if you really love advertising and you have no other entree, these schools provide great internships at the best agencies, and they also have great placement.
Yeah, you do get a road in. You do have the disadvantage, I think, that a lot of times a lot of these books look the same, and it's kind of hard to know the person.
Yes.
I think I would come out on the fact that I did have a really great teacher in college who really kind of was like a guide for me the whole time. He was a guy who worked in New York, and I went to school in Iowa, which is an unlikely place to be in advertising.
Like the University of Iowa?
Iowa State.
Yeah.
And, I worked very hard with him. And at the end, I remember we were in some competition, and the one piece of advice he gave me was like, you're done with school now, but you should really kind of try and pick up a different subject like every couple weeks. He's like,
yeah, you're never done learning.
Yeah, he said, try and spend 2 weeks on one thing, 2 weeks on another, 2 weeks on another. And he's like, I can't tell you when you're going to use this stuff, but you'll probably use it at some point. And at the very least, you're not going to be as boring as everybody else.
Right. And also I find if you need to know the culture if you're going to write about advertising, and you need to know more than just bro locker room jokes. Ha, look, he ended up in the fountain in his shorts.
Or you need to know them really well so that they work with the bros in the locker room.
Right. So. But it'd be really nice if you have an understanding of the culture so that you can bring in, different things and make advertising a little different.
The best people do seem to really just kind of understand the culture at large. And wherever you learn that, wherever you can prove that you get that, that's probably the best way. So,
on the other hand, I see people who teach at these schools and run these schools on Facebook, and they list all of their graduates who are winning awards at Cannes. And that's really what they're groomed for. They really know how to win awards, and it's really important to them. It's real statusy.
Well, I mean, that's probably like, we'll hit that topic some other time.
Yeah.
But it's, if you're learning to win awards, is that really learning the business? And again, the business is changing all the time.
It's changing so much. Maybe you will become a professor later on and give back.
It could be. Maybe that's why I'm not coming down too hard on the schools.
Yeah.
I really hope they pick me up in a few years. So.
And then I'm on my way to being an Uber driver and essay coach, college essay coach. So
there you go.
Yeah,
also
gig
good.
Economy.
In this world out there of culture, anything that you're really loving right now? What do you think? What's on the top of your mind?
Well, I just got this 700-page book that I used as a doorstop, but then I started looking through it. And it's called Powerhouse, and it's the inside story of the Creative Arts Agency, CAA.
Interesting.
And, it's an advertising-like story because they broke away, these guys like Ovitz broke away from William Morris, and they wanted to start this new, break the rules, kind of flat pack agency, where it's all social and it's all teamwork. And of course, they turned into the William Morris of what it is, but they got giant. And it's a story of inside, if you look carefully, there's a story of how CAA stole the Coke account from McCann. So that's worth looking into, and remember those polar bears.
Right.
And I didn't really know that the Henson people created the actual polar bears when they brought them to life.
Oh, okay. So my hot topic of the week probably isn't that hot right now, but I've watched it like 3 times, so it's still on the top of my mind. I really loved the 5-part documentary, O.J. Made in America.
Oh, yeah. I heard that was great.
It really is fascinating because it's a story, a lot of us lived through the first time, and you didn't necessarily really want to go back and listen to
exactly.
to the
and there
OJ
were 2 different
again.
versions of it at the same time, right?
Well, I mean, there was a fiction
the Marcia Clark
version
being
of it.
played, but yeah.
But this in specific was the documentary because it just kind of went through exactly the making of OJ and the unmaking of OJ and how he has attempted to remake himself again. And I just found it fascinating on so many levels and so many things I didn't know, and just really, really well made. And I've watched the thing 3 times. And,
wow, I've got to watch it. But I think one of the levels of fascination is that we all lived through it. We remember it, and we remember what we were thinking of the time. And then you get the backstory. What is it, 20 years later?
Right. Just a great documentary, and, I love anything well made like that. So anyway, back to school, and maybe we even taught each other something a little bit here today. I don't know. We'll see. Hope so. All right. Well, with that, thanks very much, and see you again soon. We'll talk about something else.
Thanks, John.
All right. Thanks, Barbara.
For more Pod Couple, you can subscribe on iTunes. You can find us on YouTube. We're on Twitter at Pod Couple and on Facebook. And we have a website, thepodcouple.com.
The Pod Couple is media experts John Amisotti and Barbara Lippard, produced by Eon Content Labs and brought to you by Epsilon. We see what others don't. All comments, discussions, materials, and information provided by participants in the Pod Couple are strictly their own opinion and do not constitute any official position or views of Epsilon. Please refer to our terms of use for more information.